Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the podcast where we don't know what to watch, so we use streaming services to find the mountain stuff. And we're now doing another mini episode of What You Watchin', and with me, as always, is the coolest cat in town to my baddest dog in town, Kyle Mulford. How's it going, Kyle?
Wow.
Thank you. And I'm Noah Saturn.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm good. Watched a lot of movies again.
Me too.
Hey, let's do a podcast then.
Okay.
I didn't watch quite as much as I usually do because I've been playing, this quarantine, trying to find ways to play games with people online. So I've been doing a lot of that.
That's good too. I've been playing some video games and trying to stay busy. Just before we started recording, I was feeding my sourdough starter, so that's good.
I don't know what that is, but
It helps you to make bread.
oh, sourdough starter. Okay, I got you
Yes.
now. Making bread. Oh, wait, we talked about that last time. Make some bread and watch the movies, right?
I'm still making bread.
it's a long, month-long process, right?
Well, kinda. Because
But
once you have a sourdough starter going, you only need to quote unquote feed it about once a week and it'll keep forever.
okay.
Like literally forever. I know someone who's been working with the same starter that they've had for about 30 years.
Now, what do you mean by starter?
What it is just like a mix of dough and yeast, and it kind of continually keeps kind of increasing in volume and bubbling up. So when you feed it, you give it some more flour and some more water to work with. So that activates the yeast because it's all about keeping this yeast alive.
Ah, okay. Interesting. I bet it's pretty tasty. I love homemade bread.
Mm-hmm. Especially when it's nice and warm right out of the oven.
Yeah, so what have we been watching while we eating this bread?
Well, I'm slowly starting to go through the Fast and Furious franchise because I would say that's too many movies to watch, but I've seen every Marvel movie in theaters, so I don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah, exactly. And have you watched any of these before?
I've seen the first one, so this is Too Fast, Too Furious from the year of our Lord 2003, and it's kind of funny just how to see how like the films slowly get crazier and crazier and crazier because I guess they have to keep upping the stakes. So the first one, I mean, it was just pretty realistic. People driving around in their cars.
It's Point Break with cars.
Yes, and this one, it's like undercover cops with cars where they're going after some gangster guy. And the second one is the first one that introduces Ludacris and then Tyrese Gibson.
As the
But
comic relief.
kinda. But then what's also interesting is that this one just has Paul Walker as his character Brian O'Connor, and if I remember correctly, Vin Diesel doesn't come back till the fourth one.
Yeah, I think that's right. And unless I'm remembering that he comes back for like 2 seconds at the end of the third one.
Maybe. Yeah,
Which
third one is Tokyo Drift.
yeah. So did you just watch the second one then?
Just the second one. It was just too fast, just too furious, and the climax of when they drive a car off a ramp and onto a boat.
Yeah, and then you'll start going through these and you'll get to number 3 and it'll be like this is a completely different movie, and then you go beyond that and then you realize holy crap, someone like took this seriously, and like the continuity actually, like they tie everything together. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think one of the main architects behind it is the screenwriter Chris Morgan, who worked on a bunch of them. So he's been working on this series for maybe like 10 years at this point.
Yeah, I like the first one, and then the next couple are so, and then they just kind of progressively, since they get crazier, they get more and more fun. So
Yeah, because I think it's what 5 is when The Rock shows up.
yeah, and that's one of the better movies.
And
So
any franchise is better when The Rock shows up.
so you've been watching anything else?
I also watched a few other movies. I watched Wicked Woman from the early 1950s, which is it's kind of a film noir-ish, except it's kind of trashy and it knows it's trashy, so it's pretty fun. It's about a
Oh,
woman
I
who
don't think I've
drives
ever
into
heard of that one.
town and says, "Hey, look at you, hot husband of a grumpy lady. I should take you away and we should go marry each other."
All right, I've never heard of that one.
Third was Smithereens, and it was the first film of the director who made Desperately Seeking Susan. I can't think of her name right now. But this one's kind of fun. It's a slice of life film in the early 80s about a girl who's trying to get into like the punk scene and be part of like a punk group or even be in the punk club scene. So it's fun because it's mostly shot on location, so it is a very specific time and place in New York City, which I find interesting.
Oh, cool. I thought maybe it was about the Smithereens.
Well, that too. And second one, the fourth one I have is Beyond a Reasonable Doubt, and this one is another film noir because I like those. And what's makes this one interesting to me is the fact that it's sort of a newspaper noir where a reporter and a publisher decide to expose like how terrible capital punishment is by having this reporter be sort of accused and convicted of a crime that he didn't commit, and then they'll show, aha, it was all a trick. We manufactured this evidence. This is how like aggressive the DA is. And then there's a couple of fun twists here and there. So
I
really
think I've
good one.
at least heard of this one.
Yeah, this one was the last American film directed by Fritz Lang. He didn't like it very much, but I like it.
Cool. Fritz Lang's always interesting
Is
director
it
to
Lang
watch.
or Lang? Who knows?
Fritz Lang might be.
Fritz Lang sounds better. And
Old
last but not
Fritzy
least
boy.
is number 5, Lone Wolf and Cub, Baby Card at the River Styx. So this is the second of the 6 Lone Wolf and Cub movies made in the 70s.
Okay, this is high on my to watch list, and I don't think it's streaming anywhere, and I don't have the DVDs or anything. So one of these days, I'm going to get my hands on a copy of that.
I do have the Blu-ray set. It's really nice, very well put together package. Just as a reminder, the Lone Wolf and Cub movies are essentially comic adaptations from the long-running Lone Wolf and Cub manga, which ran like over 1,000 pages or something. It's insane. And what's fun about this, they're really good representations of the comic because they have blood spraying everywhere, and basically it is very episodic like the comic because it's a disgraced samurai Ogami Ito and his son Daigoro Ito, and they're going around trying to make money and trying to stay alive after this other clan and clan leaders after him. So a lot of slicing, you lose some limbs, you lose some heads. A lot of fun, crazy assassins go after them. It's good
Yeah,
stuff.
I really need to get my hands on those. That's always sounded like an interesting series.
And those are my 5 highlights, and I'd also definitely highly recommend the manga. It was very influential in American comics as well.
Awesome. Now, after your high class film noir and samurai stuff, I watched on YouTube, which I don't usually promote. I'm not going to usually promote that, but sometimes you just can't find a movie somewhere.
Hmm.
I watched a 1982 movie called Battle Truck. I think it's also been known under the name of Warlords of the 21st Century or something like that.
Is it
And
about a truck that battles people?
it is about the bad guy has a giant truck that he plows through buildings. It's great. It's like a Mad Max movie
Nice.
starring Michael Beck,
Interesting.
who you might know from Warriors as Swan,
Oh, okay.
and I think he was also in Xanadu.
Of course, the classic.
He didn't have a huge career, but I love Warriors, and Battle Truck is amazing. So I would recommend you go find that. Like I said, you can find the whole movie on YouTube, and it really is it's basically it starts out after the oil wars, so it really is basically a Mad Max type movie,
Okay.
and he's living off on his own, and then there's a bad guy with a woman who escapes them, and she escapes to this other commune where you have a young pre-Cheers, because it's 1982, pre-Cheers Cliff Clavin, John Ratzenberger.
Oh, really? Does he still have the mustache?
No, he's pretty clean shaven and young looking there.
That's weird.
Yeah, and he's kind of good in that. He actually has one good scene in there too. So yeah,
But he
that's a
still
great.
sounds like John Ratzenberger, so it's funny.
And what's funny is he doesn't sound like being younger and like before Cheers, he doesn't really sound like how you can always recognize his voice.
Hmm.
It's a little bit different. So it was kind of interesting to see him in this in a role, because usually like those old movies you'll see him in like a 2-second role, like the pilot of an ATST or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, on Netflix, they have the entire Tremor series.
Oh no.
So me and Elsa have been going through those. Elsa is my 8-year-old daughter. So I introduced her to Tremors 1, the classic with Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward and Michael Gross and Reba McEntire.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen Tremors?
Of course I've seen Tremors 1.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I don't imagine maybe you've seen all the sequels, but Tremors 1 is a classic, and it's just a great little monster movie.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like a fun 1950s monster movie that just happened to be made in 1990, so the special effects are pretty good.
Yeah, and the characters are great too. And Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward playing off each other are great. And then Michael Gross and Reba McEntire's married couple in the bunker with all the weapons. And then you get to Tremors 2 Aftershocks, and you got the graboids evolving to like shriekers they call them, because
Like dinosaur looking things, right?
yeah, they're like little bird dinosaur things with just two legs and then like a heat sensor on their heads. And this one kind of, there's still some practical effects, and you still have Fred Ward and Michael Gross, and it's a fun story still, and they're fun together, and I still kind of enjoy it's, it's diminishing returns as you go through the sequels,
Hmm.
but I still enjoy Tremors 2. You get to Tremors 3 though, and although I still enjoy it, they almost went full CG with it. And then that's what it's like, oh no, Tremors works better when you have the practical effects. But they evolve into like flying creatures that they actually, and then it gets sillier because they fly by farting like fire. And so they nicknamed them the ass blasters. but it's still fun, but the CGI is really dated in there because it's a straight to video from 2001.
Yeah, I remember. Let's see. I remember seeing Tremors 3. It was like the first one I saw. I just happened to find it at
Oh,
like
okay.
a rental place or something.
It still
Watched
has
that,
its moments.
then went back and watched the first one. Still haven't seen 2, but I have seen 4.
Okay, that's the last one we watched. We haven't gotten to 5 and 6 yet, but we watched 4. The Legend Begins, and then we go into the Old West, and you still have to have Michael Gross because he's in every movie, so he plays one of his ancestors. This one, the first half of the movie is really kind of boring, and the characters just aren't as interesting as the first movie, and so without the graboids coming very much, the last half when they get into the kills and stuff, there's some fun creative kills in there with the worms, but it's kind of a slow one to get through for the first half. But I do give them credit for going back to more practical effects after the CGI fest of the third one. It was funny though because I am introducing this to my 8-year-old, and after we got done with the third one, we watched it on a Friday night, and she goes, and we were looking at the synopsis of the next 3, and she says, all right, we're going to watch all of them. We're going to watch one a week. And then when we're done with them, we're going to start over and watch them all over again.
She is dedicated.
So she's having a blast with them. So it's fun. Uh, and then another one that I was told by my daughters to watch. So, I'm having them watch a lot of classics. So they told me that I have to watch Frozen 2 still and Coco. Well, I got around to Coco.
Coco's gorgeous.
And you weren't crying. I wasn't crying. You were crying.
Okay.
But no, Coco it was gorgeous. Like the animation is that's just astonishing. And the story is really great too. So I don't know why it took me so long to get around to this, but because we actually have the Blu-ray and it's streaming on Disney Plus, so I had no
Mm,
reason not to watch it. If you have not seen Coco, it's another great Pixar movie. That was Pixar, right? Not Disney.
correct.
Yes, Pixar. So go out and watch that one. Wonderful story, wonderful animation, and of course it's Pixar, so you might have a tear in your eye at the end.
And some good music. There's a lot of it is about music, so there's some
Oh
really good
yeah,
music
yeah.
too.
Another one I watched on Hulu was a movie called "Where'd You Go, Bernadette?" And this one
Where did
kind of
you
flew.
go?
Where did you come from? Where did you go, Bernadette?
Cotton
Uh,
Eyed Bernadette.
Cotton-eyed Bernadette. This is one that kind of came and went, and that's actually a good question. Where did you go? Because this is a Linklater movie from last year, and I didn't hear much about this. I went and looked at Rotten Tomatoes, and it was at like 43% with critics, and it's not Linklater's best, but there's a really strong Kate Blanchett performance in this. So if you're a fan of hers, I would recommend it. It's about this woman who was a really great architect building homes and stuff, and she built like weird homes and all this, and then she had a kid, and then the kid had problems, so she just became a full-time mom, and then this is like years down the road when the kid is a teenager and she still hasn't gone back to work, and because her husband, played by Billy Crudup, works he's a big computer guy, so they've got money, and she had money from her past projects. So they're these weird, eccentric millionaires on a hill in this community, and she doesn't like going out in public and all this stuff. And it's basically about her kind of losing her sense of self because she's not working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so she just goes, it's just this journey of watching her try and rediscover herself. And like I said, it's a wonderful performance by Kate Blanchett. So that one is on Hulu.
What I've heard interestingly about that one is that it's the same story but told in a different way from the book because it was originally a book. And the book, it's almost entirely from like the daughter's perspective, trying to figure out where Bernadette actually went. So there's much more of a mystery element, while the movie just kind of shows you.
Oh, okay. That'd be interesting. I should read the book because I that would be an interesting to see it from a different point of view. And like Coco, that was another one that I teared up a little at the end. Yeah, I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm I'm a sap at the movies, so. Another one I watched on Disney Plus was in our ongoing effort to show our daughters the quote unquote classics. We'll watch one that my wife and I grew up on, and then we'll watch another one, like an older one. And so this week it was one that me and my wife had watched when we were younger, and we watched Sister Act. This came out in '92, and I was around middle school, and I remembered liking this, and I remembered the music a lot. Rewatching it, it's a lot more drama and a lot less singing than I remember.
Yeah, there's like 2 songs.
Yeah, and it's still a good movie, but I'm going to tell you, if you remember the singing and you don't remember the drama as much, don't show it to your younger kids, not because they can't handle it, but more because
They
like
get bored.
my 8-year-old was bored. So I still enjoyed it. It's still a fun movie, but it's not the fun musical comedy type movie that I remember it being.
Well, there is Sister Act, the musical that was made, and that's
Well,
pretty
there
good.
that might be a better one to take the girls to.
Maybe.
Uh, let's see. One other movie. I watched one more movie on Hulu called Monos from last year, and it's about it's I think it's set in like Colombia or something, and it's this group of teenage like guerrillas, like these. They're like a little army unit, but it's all
Oh, like
teenagers.
guerrilla fighters, not like actual like the animal gorilla.
Not like animal gorillas, but yeah,
Would make it much
no,
more
like
interesting.
guerrilla fighters, and
Okay.
they're in charge of watching over a hostage that they have, and they don't really explain who this hostage is or why. I don't know if there's supposed to be a setting that like I would know more if I lived in South America, like if I knew more about their culture down there. But like they don't explain who these warrior kids are and what kind of army they're in and all this stuff. They just say they're in charge of this prisoner, basically this captive, and then also a cow. But they accidentally shoot the cow, so then they
No, not the cow.
I know. So then they leave and they're all in the jungle, and it's just basically them being teenage kind of army basically. And like there's the immaturity of it, and it's them not getting along, and
It's just like the
boys and
Bill
girls
Murray.
getting together, and then some wanting to get out, and then the prisoner trying to escape. And there's some interesting tense areas, and it was okay. I wouldn't run out to see it.
So it's not a loose remake of Monos: The Hands of Fate.
No, no, it's not.
That's disappointing because I think Torgo would have really improved it.
Yes, but no, that's what I've been watching lately, and that's about it. So kind of a short list this week. Anyway, what's everybody else been watching out there? You can comment below and let us know what you've been watching if you've got anything also that's streaming and readily available.
Or you can let us know on Twitter.
Yes, and I'm on Twitter at AwesomeKM.
And I'm on Twitter at Noah_Saturn. That is spelled Satern.
And we are also on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. And
Yeah,
I I have posted a couple times in the last couple weeks, so like
I'm
I'm
so
trying.
proud of you.
So anyway, until next time, keep on watching.
Yeah, this is another mini-sode in the can. So till then, bye bye.